I'm a portraitist, and I had just done a film, Out of Sight, which was on PBS, about a blind cowgirl leading a double life. And I was looking for something else in another portrait, and I like a social issue backdrop. That was about looking at a woman who happens to be blind, so you look at her as a woman first. This thing came about because in early 1970s, we had a job selling tires. I sold tires from Great Falls, Montana to farmers and ranchers over the telephone, and talked to many family farms and ranchers like Daryl and Juanita, and made the money and the commissions to actually buy our house off those commissions. And Nancy did the Dun and Bradstreet report, so if I had to call up Squeaky's Auto Repair, we knew Squeaky had enough money to buy the agricultural tires. And we did a lot of that, and we loved the people. And so for years, I thought about doing a film, not necessarily about family farmers, but about these people, people like the Bushcutters. And it's a great backdrop if you're a portraitist. I've done a lot of soliloquy films where there's no narrators or interviewers. I mean, I've done jobs for hire for the American Experience, like George Washington or the National Gallery of Art, Feast of the Gods, that they're jobs for hire. But when I have done, with Nancy, our own films, there is no interviewer or outside narrator. And usually you have no sense that the camera's there. And this has gone on, I don't know, for 15, 16 years. So stylistically, when I say this type of portrait, is I'm going for a likeness, just like a portrait painter would. Do you get all the nuances of mood and personality? And can you build it into a drama or something like that? And I mean, you don't try and create a drama, but you follow a story. If you're doing a living artist who's had a career, that's different. And gradually I evolved into doing cinema verite more and more. And that's when, at the point that I wanted to do this film, that's where I was at. And I wanted to go to another step, which was really making an audio-driven film, not just the one that was beautiful or something like that, where it was motivated, where you felt like you were living in their skin. So as they were going through their hardships or their triumphs, you would feel their laughs, which you really hear them laugh. It doesn't look like that at the end of night one. And you would hear their sighs and their sobs, not just see them. But I wanted you to be that close up to in this portrait. So you evolve and you change. I remember the first time I stayed at their farm and slept on their couch.
4 years ago.
4 years ago. She's talking to a loan officer, and she's on a little hand telephone standing outside and just trembling, thinking that this is the end. It was a horrible way, and I was going off to show another film, and now 3 years later, a couple of days ago, they arrived here on their first plane flight, and she's standing
in the ocean.
In the ocean, talking to her kids on the phone, and just seeing them in LA, and that they've come so far, you know, in 3 years. And I don't mean come far as traveling to this. I mean basically come so far where they could pay off all their creditors when you don't think there's a chance in hell that they will in the beginning, and that their marriage will stay together. It's overwhelming. We've never given them advice. By doing a film, you're there, so you have to have some influence just because of the fact that you're there. But in a film like this, where the wolf's at the door, whether we were there or not, if she's working all day and he's working at his job all day and he has to farm at night, and then they come into collision at night, and then he has to go out and farm again at night. The tractor breaks down at night, and then get up this next morning. You're the last thing they're thinking of. So you're not really intruding on anything. You witness stuff, it's awful. When times get better or happier, then you're around, and then you can be a pain in the neck. But you could come home from work, there's a money collector there, a government loan officer. You're going to be able to make the payment. A field got wiped out. One of the girls needs help. One of the calves is dying. We're just there, and you can fade away.
And when you're making a film about people that are going through a tough time, I mean, that's what you'll end up filming tough times. I mean, it's you sort of know that before you begin, and they make a commitment to you, but you make a commitment to them not to look away.
I mean, we were interested into, I mean, I don't think I would have been interested in them if there wasn't part of a story about their marriage, because doing portraits, I mean, a lot of people have called this a long portrait, I'm interested in penetrating personality. So it didn't have to be problems with their marriage. Maybe they had an idyllic relationship, but it was the ability to let you into their heart and to know how they felt. And that's what I was interested in. When I heard her voice, she had a catch in her voice. It's a different voice. And so that's really what I was responding to. Their honesty, their openness, and not just guile or anything like that. I've never made a film where I've ever told anyone what to think, if it's been one of my own films and not a job for hire, what to think or what to feel. I've had a couple of shows on Point of View, and I love that series, but I really never express my point of view in my films. You never know whether I like them, and I don't. In this case, and in most cases, I find something to really like about my subjects, or it'd be hard to do the portrait. What I think will happen is that people will relate to each of them depending on what baggage they're carrying in their lives and what their experience has been. So everyone will relate to them differently. If you're young, you'll relate to them like your parents. Could be your first girlfriend, could be your second wife, could be somebody else, and vice versa. But what I do know is that people will relate to them about the idea they chased a dream, and it's so hard to have a dream and to be an independent today. Whether you're the guy in the 7-Eleven store or the convenience store in New York City, or you're trying to have a small farm in Nebraska, or trying to be an independent painter or something, to go for your dream. And then also you'll carry away with it the idea that you can overcome these things and you can make it work and you can have the dignity to pay your creditors off and to keep your family together, because it's a really, in many ways it ends up like out of Norman Rockwell. I mean, for me, it reminds me of my boyhood in Newton, Massachusetts, but it really takes me back when I'm in Lawrence, Nebraska. But all of those real value of family, not this empty political terms, I mean, they represent all of those things. And so maybe people will be empowered by the idea, I mean, it's not why I made the film, but will be empowered by the idea that people like this still exist, because I'm in awe of them.